Welcome back to Wickerson Studios. We are in the basic intermediate one-liners for Python, and the point of this series is really for the Grasshopper user to want to slowly shift into using more of custom ghPython nodes. And my hope is that then you would go into maybe possibly C#. But I've been all over the map for the last couple of years, Rhino to Grasshopper to Python to C, and I think the ghPython node gets the most people wanting to use it um, because you can see the relation to being able to work before in Grasshopper, because that's where you learn the script probably. And these scripts are extremely simple. So you can see the script and everything's generated for you, but the only thing I'm really generating of any importance is this one-liner, which basically takes X, the data list that's coming in, and it removes removes the first and the last. Let's just see what happens here. Indices of it, and then it repeats that data. Now you could do this in Grasshopper, but the thing is you're trying to learn Python. So let's just take a look at this whole script and see how I generated my list. And I was very playful to start. I was thinking of a cardiac out of the book, like a heartbeat. So I set a range of numbers between 63 and 87. And then I simply put it through a range where I added the one list, and then I reversed that list. And you'll see there's a double digit, redundant digit in the middle, which I could edit out. There's a little bit of reversal here using nodes. And so this should be pretty common for people that are thinking of going Grasshopper to Python, as you're familiar with this. So what I did was I took the list here, and I decided, well, let's take out the list item number. Let's grab the list item number 2, which would be 75. And what I'm trying to do is replace the second list, let's say the third item, the third element, and put it to the first, copy it to the first, and then the third last element I'm trying to copy to the last. So I'm just doing that in 2 steps, and I'm just thinking myself through it, and it's pretty useless code, but it shows a lot. So here it is. It takes those numbers and immediately swaps them out and puts 75, number 2 indices as a list item at the beginning of the list. But then after I do that, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, it isn't at the end of the list, so I'm going to do it again. But what I did was a quick little reversal here. A little reversal of the list, which means I could use the exact same snippet again, and probably, because this is all the same, but the list has been changed, then you've got what you wanted. 75, a number is 75, and then all the way through a series of numbers, then 75 and 75. Of course, this is parametric, so you could change it up, and it changes the temperatures of everything that's happening, and you can make that list much longer, and it's doing the same thing. It's making those digits at the top and the bottom match. So you can have fun with that. I like the 4 setting because it works well with my script. And then really, I've just produced a list, and you can see what you've produced right here by X is basically that data, and it's been brought in and it's outputted as a nice little output list that goes from 75, 69. Now, the whole point of this function was to take this information and get rid of those redundant starting points. So I took all that time to change them to 75, and now I'm like, now I want to get rid of them. So you may say, well, what kind of crazy script is that, Michael? But it's showing you the transition of thinking and logically, maybe not efficiently, going through using the nodes and then moving yourself into this type of coding in your own mind that you understand exactly what's happening. I've done it physically kind of in the grass visualized scripts, but now I've done it very quickly by just using, you can see the power of Python. And the multiplier is something that I did that I can multiply that list and make it as big as I want. I can go from 1, I can go, well, you can go to 0, and then there's nothing, an empty list. You go there, you can repeat it twice, you can repeat it 3 times, and what you end up getting without having to go in and use matplotlib library in Python, you've got the tool Grasshopper, so now you can just use this output of these digits as your Y points to these X points. And you may say, well, come on, that's ridiculous. I could have used Graph Mapper and I could have mapped something and I could have made it another geometry. But it's starting to realize the interconnectivity between everything you're doing in Node scripting to Python scripting to what you possibly did in Python before you did this. And I'm not one who learned Python first. I definitely went in and visual scripting was a way to come at it. So I hope this is helpful. I've got my website going. I have my supporters on Patreon. I thank them very much for it. If you want to get into this series, it's a ton of work, but I don't think of it as work. I think of it as research and development and learning, but it's always nice to have a little encouragement. So I thank those Patreons out there. that are making this happen and buying me a cup of coffee once in a while to keep going. And certainly you get your own user objects. And one thing I've done is tuck these in a way so when I'm done, it can be very exciting to start to know. Now this is not the form that most people want to work with off the ribbon tool, but because it's just a learning tool, I don't think it's important. Like, go in here, grab one under basic, under intermediate. I'll have ones under intermediate, advanced, and then I'll end with some algorithms. Just grab them, open them up, drag them down, and see how you can make them work. And one thing I've tried to do is not hard code in information into these nodes. I want you to go out of your way and struggle with, bringing in the data and printing it. If you didn't bring in this data, well, obviously under control, nothing's going to be outputted. So it's dependent on you being able to comprise the data and list to what this might do. So the node is kind of useless without getting into these additional scripts, which I think is a very playful way of learning and bringing together your visual scripting skills in Grasshopper with your more computational skills that are happening in programming languages like Python and C#. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. I'm going to keep making them. Never going to stop. Thanks very much for watching.